All right, so this is going to be another bad movie review. This is going to be on the Snowman from 2017. It's kind of a special movie for me. It was the first movie I ever gave worst of the year. The first time I ever did a worst of the year list in 2017 on my last channel, my old channel. It was Emoji Movie for a while, and then I saw this movie pretty much last minute. It was like a day before I made my worst list, and I was like, "Yep, you've lost because this is a mess. This is an awful script. The writing is terrible." But anyway, let's get to it. It's directed by Thomas Alfredson. It's based on a book written by Joe Nesbo, and I love murder mysteries in general. I cannot imagine that book is any good. I heard it is. I can't imagine it. Well, anyway, let's get into it. So the movie starts with an intro. It shows this kid and his mom. They live in the snow and kind of in the middle of nowhere, and they're visited by what he says is his uncle. It's very clear that there's something going on between him and his mom. And he gets in there. He starts asking him questions about his schooling and things. And every question he gets wrong, he smacks the shit out of his mom. So it's very obvious this is abusive. But immediately after that, the kid comforts his mom, whatever. The kid is outside making a snowman and seems to be perfectly okay. And they're upstairs having sex. And he goes up there, sees them, and the mom is like, "I'm going to tell your wife that that's your kid." And he's like, "You'll never see me again." He leaves. They chase after him in a car. She just goes blank out of nowhere and drives over a frozen lake, and the car starts to sink. The kid gets out, the mom stays in and dies. So we cut to present day. Now we have Harry Hole, who's supposed to be this great detective, even though he's a terrible drunk that just wakes up randomly all over the place. Played by Michael Fassbender, who's way too good to be in this movie, along with some other people. And he is a drunk and things like that. He has a ex-girlfriend, Raquel, played by Charlotte Gainsbourg. Her and her son, that's not his. He still has a relationship with them, though. He's still kind of a father figure to the kid, so he keeps letting the kid down because he's a drunk. It's like, well, you could, I don't know, do an intervention with this motherfucker, right? The people he works with clearly know he's a drunk. They're not gonna try to get him to get some kind of help. I don't know. They never say why he's such a drunk either, why he seems depressed. They never go into it. So a woman goes missing. We actually get to see it. She gets hit with some snowballs. It's stupid. And he makes a snowman outside of her place. That's his MO. That's his thing. He leaves a snowman wherever women go missing or where their dead bodies are found and things like that. So there's a snowman already there when she gets there. When she gets home, she gets into it with her husband, and then he leaves, and the daughter wakes up the next day. Her mom's gone. I think that was the next day. So now Michael Fassbender, Harry Hole, he assumes it's the husband because it's always the husband, things like that. He doesn't seem like he's all that great of a detective. I guess maybe not anymore. He's approached by Katrine, played by Rebecca Ferguson, also too good to be in this. And she just was transferred from another precinct to another city. And she is really invested in this killer and finding him and things like that for reasons that will be revealed later. They start really looking at J.K. Simmons, right? Well, she is at least, and Harry Hole is looking at the doctor, but J.K. Simmons is involved because he knew one of the women that went missing. He was having an affair with her, and the doctor that they're going after, that they question, the women that went missing, they had appointments with him, even though he says he wasn't in those days. So he asked for a lawyer, things like that. He is like a sex trafficker for J.K. Simmons' character. That character's name is Arve Stop, by the way. And he's putting on, wealthy dude seems to be, and he's putting on some event for the World Cup or something like that. But the doctor in this, he's getting him women and presenting him to him and things like that. They have a mutually beneficial relationship going on. The doctor ends up dead. Seems to be a suicide. And it's in the same way as Val Kilmer's character, Rafto, who turns out to be Rebecca Ferguson's father, and that's why she's so personally invested. What the killer does is he kills them, shoots their head off, puts a shotgun in their hand, and wherever they're at is locked from the inside, and somehow he gets out, and that's why they think it's a suicide, even though it doesn't make sense.
He shot himself straight on. How do you do that with a shotgun? It's too long. You'd have to angle it. Pellet mark should be up there somewhere.
Luckily, we have experts to determine that.
Katrine, Rebecca Ferguson, she had broken into that building because they had gotten a call from one of the victims' phones and things like that. But she's really, really focused on J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons is very obviously a red herring. She's really focused in on him, right? And so she dresses up and everything, goes to his event that he's putting on for the World Cup or whatever it is, and pretends to want to have sex with him, goes to his room to wait for him, and then the killer cuts off her finger, wipes the files off her computer, and kills her and puts a snowman on her car, which is really stupid. I don't know how he found his way in there. I don't know how he knew she was going to be there. I don't know that. I don't know a lot of this stuff. Throughout this movie, there's also been Matthias, played by Jonas Carlson, and he is also a doctor. I think he's a plastic surgeon or something, and he is dating, or I think he's dating her. I don't think they're married. The ex-girlfriend Raquel, Harry Hole's ex-girlfriend, and so he actually turns out to be the killer. And the way that gets revealed, is terrible. We will talk about that. But he ends up kidnapping the son and the ex-girlfriend, brings him to some house in the snow. Harry Hole goes there to confront him. They have this scuffle. The editing's terrible. They go out and over a frozen lake, and the killer falls in, Matthias, to reference back to the beginning of the movie, and it sucks. It's terrible. This movie's messy. It took a lot for me to even sum it up right now, and I probably missed quite a bit, but that's it. Let's start with positives, like I always do. It is shot well, I will say. This location looks good. I like snowy locations, so and there's some dynamic shots that I quite liked while I was watching it. At least it's kind of okay to look at. I thought the lighting could have been better, especially in the indoor shots whenever it's not outside. But it's like it still looks good, and it fits the tone that they're going for a crime thriller. Also, the score I thought was good. It fits for a thriller. It's passable. It fits for this kind of movie. And the main thing is the performances by almost pretty much everybody, but especially Michael Fassbender and Rebecca Ferguson. They are way too good for this. Very obviously, I guess nobody read the script.
Even if you're having an affair, you do not leave your child like that. And Harry, she's not the only one. Look, this is Hegedal. Missing 2 weeks, similar age, young children, unhappy marriage.
Talk to the husband.
That's all the positives I could really come up with. This movie's even worse than I remember it. So let's start with the big thing here. The killer, right? Now, I saw some people when this movie came out saying that the killer was obvious. And I didn't think so, right? The only thing, and I still don't think so, really. The only thing that's kind of off about him is that he does kind of seem a little mysterious, but mainly he's way too chummy with Michael Fassbender's character. He calls the son to cover for him when he doesn't show up for something and things like that. But then also, it's very obvious Harry Hole and Raquel still have feelings for each other. They're at one of the son's games, just hugged up and everything. He comes up, doesn't say a word about it. Doesn't say, he seems way too nice. So that was one of the things that made me think it was him. But I still didn't know really whether it was him. I knew it wasn't J.K. Simmons, but I still didn't really know because he's not in that much of this movie. And the killer seems to be able to do just about everything. And I thought, how does he have the time to do all this?
We got the missing persons call.
Oh, who's missing?
It was Sylvia Otterson.
I'm Sylvia Otterson.
What, you're Sylvia Otterson? Why would your husband report you missing?
I have no idea.
Sorry we're back, Mrs. Otterson. We just wanted to make sure you were all right.
I'm Anna Peterson. Sylvia's my sister. We're twins.
At certain points, he seems like he's very meticulous, right? He's using certain tools and things like that. He's somehow able to kill people and then lock the door after himself, but still somehow get out. Ridiculous, right? He seems like he cuts off Rebecca Ferguson's finger, somehow gets into the hotel, cuts off her finger and wipes off any evidence she might have had on her computer, right? So he seems like he's smart and he's doing his due diligence. But then he has moments where, I mean, he is dating the ex-girlfriend and has a somewhat of a friendly relationship with somebody who's one of the best detectives in the city. He's doing so many things that seems like he wants to get caught, but then the reveal is where it really makes it stupid. So he took appointments with a woman that he ended up killing. Not just with her, but also with her husband, the person he didn't plan to kill and would obviously be able to identify him.
But you didn't see Vetlison the day you found out.
No, we saw some hormone specialist, visiting consultant.
Do you know his name?
It wants to be kind of like a John Doe type villain that's a little bit more interesting. Seems to have some kind of plan. He's messing with the detective that's going after him, detectives. But he's an idiot, and what he does doesn't make sense. His MO is very specific and really stupid. He makes these snowmen that look ridiculous. He shoots people's heads off and puts a snowman head on their neck, which is not only ridiculous looking, but by the time anybody finds those bodies, the snowman head has melted. And obviously that was the point, because he wants it to seem like it was a suicide. So why even put the snowman there at all? Nobody can see it. It's really, really dumb. He sends these letters. I mean, from the first letter he sends to Harry Hole, I was like, wow, okay, this is kind of tense. And then he gets to the bottom of the letter, and you see that terribly drawn snowman at the bottom. And it is damn near comical. How is he able to build these shitty snowmen in public where nobody sees him? How is he able to get into J.K. Simmons' hotel room to kill Rebecca Ferguson's character? How is he able to do all this shit? How? Right? And they focus so much on J.K. Simmons, who has this ridiculous, terrible accent that he cannot do at all.
When I was a boy, the only winter sports I engaged in were the uphill snow shovel and the 50-meter firewood carry. That is why I believe passionately that this cup is about much more than just publicity for our fair city.
Let's go to Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer, I know he's struggled with his health. At this point he was struggling with his health too, and so he's not looking great. Let's be honest about it. But he was clearly going through some health issues. He is so obviously dubbed badly with somebody else's voice. It seems like it's so distracting.
You're a great detective. But I don't want anyone knowing about this just yet. Not yet. I don't want to go to the police.
Can you tell me, well, was your wife seeing anyone?
There's only I think 3 scenes with him. You don't really need that in this movie, but for whatever reason it's there. The movie is slow, but yet still messy and all over the place, with him being here and here and here. And the investigation doesn't really seem like much of an investigation. Like I said, these precincts seem stupid to even believe that these were suicides. He's going after specifically women who have cheated on their husbands and things like that. And there's this whole moment for Michael Fassbender to be like, it wasn't your mom's fault, it was your dad's fault. It's like, no shit, your dad was an asshole. How did you not know that? Maybe when you were a kid, maybe you could blame your mom, but it's very obvious it was your dad, and you would come to that realization by the time you became an adult. But either way, they get to the final confrontation. You get to see some really terrible editing. There isn't that much action in this movie, but what is there, the editing is so bad. Because Harry Hole is in there, and the killer's got this special gun with this wire on it. He's about to cut the ex-girlfriend's neck off, or cut her head off, and he somehow was able to go up to him. He gets his finger cut off, and then they have a little scuffle, and then somehow the killer was able to get out. Matthias was able to get out of there and get all the way to the lake or whatever. This guy must be able to teleport. At points, it seems like there must be multiple killers. Maybe they were saving that for the for the sequel, but somehow he's able to go all the way over to the lake, and then they have this really lame exchange where he's talking to him and things like that about his father before he falls into the water. And then it's like, okay, that's it? Who cares? The whole thing is lame, it's poorly written, it's messy, it's all over the place. This killer is ridiculous and like parody level with these terrible snowmen, and it's bad. Like, it has these good performances because these are good actors in this, but I imagine they didn't read the script. It's fucking terrible. It is terrible. As I was watching it, I was picking at it all over the place. I was like, how is he doing this and this and this and this and this? How is he able to throw a snowball and then just disappear when she turns around? How is he able to do any of this stuff? The twin sister thing, that was ridiculous. I was like, what are we doing here? It's awful. This is an awful movie. Still, it doesn't work at all. This is a piece of shit. And so that's what I'm giving it. I'm giving it a complete shit. Like I said, it's worse than it was when I originally saw it. It is by far, at least to me, still the worst movie of that year. And that's it, man. Like, Michael Fassbender, takes really bad roles in bad movies, but shit. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. Subscribe. That's it.